This is Chris Bigger, Superintendent of Schools in Chambersburg School District. This podcast is designed to support the One Trojan Community idea and a quest for all of our schools to be schools of distinction by 2030. This podcast is an educational exchange of our strategies and ideas, accelerating our path forward. And today we have Deb Luffy, Director of 9 through 12 Schools in Chambersburg School District, to help us answer maybe some of the questions as we tackle some changes moving forward. So Deb, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you've been, and how long you've been in Chambersburg?
Yeah, so I actually started in Chambersburg in 1999 as a chemistry teacher over at CASHS teaching. And then through my course development, I became a dean of students and an assistant principal, and then I became academic principal. And then I finally decided to head up to Huntington School District after serving Chambersburg School District for about 13 or 14 years. And at Huntington, I was the head principal. So it was a great opportunity to see a much different system than what was here at Chambersburg, but then also see all the different roles that you have when you go to a smaller system, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then I assumed the superintendent thought that maybe I needed something a little bit more to keep me busy and to be, I was used to the pace of Chambersburg. And so the superintendent said, you're going to be in charge of the middle school too.
Gotcha.
And so that was a great opportunity because I got to extend my own level of knowledge, working within the K-12 spectrum and grasp like what was happening at the middle level. So like teaming, I learned a lot more about teaming, cross-curricular project-based learning, all that good stuff that happened at the middle school level. Much more, in a heavier, rate than at the high school. And then after serving there for 4 years, I came back to Shippensburg High School, which is close to Chambersburg, and I was there for 8 years serving as their high school principal. And the great experience there was that, they were working heavily with the block scheduling, which, Chambersburg High School just transitioned to that.
Sure.
So, some of the experiences I had with like teaming and, the freshman academy just coming back to CASHS again, that teaming approach. So my experiences, like as I, had left Chambersburg, were all, very helpful in my return to Chambersburg. And it has been a privilege to come back to Chambersburg and see, the areas that Chambersburg has grown, but then also see the areas that it's kind of like how it was when I left. But there have been a lot of changes with the people and the personnel. And so, the last, 3 months, I've spent a lot of time like learning things again, to which, and seeing like how we can improve.
So what, when you came back and you have CMS and CASHS and you've been looking at both, what have you discovered that maybe someone wouldn't know about CMS or CASHS?
I think I was surprised that they were probably as similar as they were when I talk about the instruction that is being developed. I mean, now, initially Career Magnet School started as a more magnet school, and they had technology and they were, all of these project-based learning activities. And CASHS did not have the technology, a little bit larger system. And so I think now with CASHS, so I'm saying catching up by having iPads and that technology. Still, they are not where Career Magnet School is in the growth chart, right? But they are definitely, delivering similar things.
Yeah.
So
they both have iPads now. They both have the block schedule. So there's a lot of similarities in their structure. So you've been a part of 3 different schools, specifically high schools. What do you see changing in the future that you're excited about that we hope to accomplish in the next 5 years?
I think that, from my time, when I left Chambersburg and, then returning, I think this whole idea of like personalization in learning and then also a more customization in offerings to students. And so when we think about the choices that we can offer students, like that's what I see changing. And, Brad Ocker, the Director of Career and Community Partnerships, like he and I have been having a lot of conversations in, where are we looking, towards the future for our students. And when we talk about, how do we prepare these students for, the next step after high school, we're talking about, how is the career being embedded in that? How are we increasing the rigorous programming, the experiences that our students are having, making them more meaningful? So that by offering choices, and, he mentioned the academies, we see the value of teaming, we see the value of like a school within a school. And so when we have that freshman academy, like how do we expand upon that, both at CASHS and the Career Magnet School, in offering these academies to students so that they have some choice in what career focus they may have. So not, competing with the career tech school, but offering other choices that students can have with that in both the, quote, advanced track and regular track too.
Well, describe maybe for the parents what an academy is. I think people have an academy idea as more of an elite school.
Right.
But what is an academy as you describe it?
So an academy would be very similar to what parents might have thought of as a middle school team, where there are 4 core teachers, math, science, social studies, and English, and then there are 2 career teachers assigned. So depending upon what academy, whether you're talking about biomedical or you're talking about education academy, like those 2 teachers would be on that team of teachers, that team of 4 cores, so that they can be teaching the students those skills to assist them in the next level. And ultimately having that cross-curricular projects within that academy, that looping aspect that the career tech has been known for. When a student goes to career tech, they have the same instructors, 10, 11, and 12. Like we would want the same instructors like 10, 11, and 12, ideally, at our academies as well. And again, Brad mentioned about kind of like one Trojan community, all the freshmen coming as a freshman, to the high school, and then at grade 10, you're deciding, do I want a general studies approach? Do I want an academy approach? Or, do I want to go to the Franklin County Career and Technology Center? So offering that whole gamut of opportunities for students.
How many academies do you think would exist at CASHS and CMS?
I think ideally you could potentially have 3 or 4 academies at Career Magnet School, how it's currently divided and structured and laid out. If there were to be a building project in the future, like you could expand upon that. But I think you would want between 120 to 150 students per academy. And so at CASHS, I would hope you would have between 3 and 5 academies there as well. Obviously different, academies at each schooling or at each school, just so that there's not the competition, but like really a choice, like I want this academy, so I'm going to go here. I want this academy, I'm going to go here.
So the idea of academy is maybe more interest personalization, customized to them, and then they go through their school focused in that area.
Right, correct.
And if they don't necessarily like that by their junior year, can they move to a different academy?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Like, we still want that flexibility.
Yeah.
I think, one of the changes that will happen when going to an academy is when the students are that focused on that career and they're choosing that, that also provides the opportunity for them to be so focused, but then they're going to have to understand that they're not going to be able to have a hodgepodge or smorgasbord of all the other electives that they have. So I do think like that will be one of the challenges we come is that, a kid that wants to do this, academy, like you can't always have everything, on your schedule because you're going to be so focused and streamlined in your career electives that you have. So
there seems to be strong public support across the county, the state, and nationally for this type of approach. What would you advise parents who have kids in middle school coming into the high school to consider moving forward?
I think that parents have to appreciate the opportunities that a district like CASHS or CASD can offer all of the students that are here. And that, sometimes there is a mindset or a belief, that students cannot be successful or have a good income or provide for a family if they take a certain career pathway. And I think those mindsets are very outdated, like especially with the Career Tech Center or some of the more hands-on academies that we're looking at. There are great careers and successful careers and high-paying positions that are in those careers. So just for parents to be open to their son or daughter maybe not going to college or maybe going to a 2-year school or maybe going right into the workforce or even the military. Like all of those are options that there can be great success with that.
So we want to deliver on that promise that you have a pathway for you that leads to some success beyond high school.
Correct.
Whether it's 2-year, 4-year, right into work, technical school, a little bit of both. And I think that's where I get excited that there's an equilibrium now. Career and technical education academies that end in more training and right to work and 2- and 4-year school are all at the same place. There's no longer a stigma over one or the other. What would you say is the next first step for Chambersburg moving in this model? What do we have to do in order to accomplish this? What's the first thing we have to do?
The first thing?
The first thing.
There's a lot of things,
Yes,
Mr.
there are.
Bigger.
But what's the first one that will actually start us moving forward?
I think that the first thing is to actually define like what academies realistically like we can offer our students reasonably in the near future.
Okay.
You know, I think that we have a 3 to 5 year plan, and then, you know, as we're determining what our academies would be in like 28, 29 school year, what are they also potentially going to be in like 31, 30, you know, 32 and
Gotcha.
35 and 36, you know, like making that, you know, kind of a tiered approach.
So in the other interview with Brad Ocker, he mentioned the South Central area of interest. What do you think students would be interested in if we ask them? What academies do you think that they would be interested in?
You know what? I am relatively
having
new
kids who
to
recently graduated, though. Yeah.
I will say that I think kids are, you know, my own, you know, children are very heavily influenced by serving and that servant mindset, and so they are very much more thinking like military.
Okay.
Just because of the service and the patriotic aspect of that. But I think that we will be surprised, you know, when Brad mentioned the Zello program and the student interests that are in that program. Like that will be a great opportunity for us to look at that data and to use
Make
that
some
data
decisions
as
from that. Okay.
as a.
So you don't think kids just want to play video games and fly drones?
I mean, there are kids that want to do that, but as far as a career goal, like I don't know how many kids can realistically do that. Right. Or be influencers, you know.
And I think the last question is we're going to still honor what our really good traditions exist in both schools, what we're really already good at. Nothing's going away necessarily in the change that you would anticipate moving forward.
Right, like I mean, you know, Chambersburg is known in this area for having a very robust AP program, and you know, we're the only school in Franklin County, to my knowledge, that has an IB program. So like those programs are not going anywhere.
Sure.
If anything, I think, you know, going to a academy approach might actually encourage more students to consider heavily like the diploma program,
one,
or you know, to be an AP scholar. So I can only think that would benefit the programs.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Deb, for participating. We
Yeah.
really appreciate your time.
All right, thanks.